the fourth of the six human needs, and this is an interesting need. This need is really it's not just about following a process. It's not just about memorizing a script. It's not just about just kind of having some lines that we use that we need to share with every single customer. Those are important, but if we don't have this one need figured out, the process doesn't matter. The scripts really don't matter, and that's the need of connection, the need of loving connection, to be able to feel what the prospect feels, that they say, you know what, this person really gets me. I feel what they feel. It's empathy. There's so many things in this, but let's unpack how we can use the need of love and connection to get people to be excited about moving forward with us.
Well, there's an internal thing that people are doing all of the time. And it might be conscious, it might not be for them, but they're always asking themselves, do I belong? Do I belong? They walk into a new space and they think, do I belong here? They are looking at a store, do I belong? They are looking at a product, do I belong? Am I one of them? Am I an Apple person? Am I a Tesla person? What am I? Do I belong here? That is the running question that's in everybody's brain. And so when we can be conscious of that and then use that information to help them see that they do belong, they are part of this, that's when it starts to change everything, because that's the hidden question that everyone is asking themselves when they go to purchase.
Okay, so if the question is, do I belong, then as a salesperson, we need to find a way to make them feel like they belong. I remember many years ago, I was asked to write the sales process for The Villages. The Villages, America's friendliest hometown. I'm talking about. It's the largest.
Thank you.
You like that? That
Yeah,
was good. So if anyone's wanting to hire me for the next American Idol or whatever, I'm here for you. But but The Villages is the largest 55 up neighborhood in the world, I believe. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we wrote in the sales process was called the Villages Close. And the idea behind it is that if you're taking a future villager, a future prospect through the town square, then what you would do is you would immediately introduce them to a current villager, and you would get them to share their story. You'd build those connections to say, where did you come from? And oh, you're moving from Michigan. Are you moving from Michigan? And this person also moved from the Northeast and or the Midwest. And let's talk about, why did you choose to move to the Villages, and what advice would you give them? And so what we were trying to do with that process is we're trying to create connection.
That's great. Well, and if you have, I love this. And so if you have a product or service where you can't introduce them to people, brilliant. If you are not in a space where you can do that, it's developing the stories of your other buyers that are going to connect. And so you're now giving them stories of people that are like them. So if you didn't have that opportunity, or you're selling the Villages over the phone and they're not there yet, let me tell you about our villagers, Bob and Sue, and let me tell you all about them, and they moved in and what they loved and why they made the decision. So we can use that technique whether or not we have villagers walking around beside us or not.
That's great. So it sounds like a great on-ramps. I think people like to have these on-ramps from scripting perspectives. Let me tell you about a business owner that had the same problem that you had, and let me share with you what they discovered. Let me share with you what they realized. Let me share with you what they learned, and then so we're doing these. We're creating these kind of on-ramps, these stories, so that people feel like they belong, like you said in the very beginning.
Yeah, my on-ramp is usually, oh, that reminds me of a customer that I talked to, or a client that started with us a couple of years ago. Let me tell you, they were in the same situation as you. They were dealing with blank, blank, and blank. Here's what they felt about it. Here's the adjustments they want to make. They decided to move forward with us because of blank and blank, and here have been their results. And that way I can, but that's usually my on-ramp, is that reminds me of.
Got it. Okay, so we talk about ways to create connection with our product and service, but there's also important to create connection with the actual salesperson themselves. And so I think it's important that everyone's listening right now, they take some time and they start to develop their own story. like for example, again, an on-ramp would be something like this. So it would be, out of all the companies that I could have worked for, the reason I chose to work for ABC is blank. And the reason why, what I love about ABC is blank. And, the true, like difference of them is blank. But like having that like connection story, I think is also important. So they feel that you're a human being and that they can relate to you, I think is important. What else could a salesperson do to kind of build their own kind of connection stories?
Well, I move away. So I just go to what they should not do. I can't help it. That's the way my brain works. So where I see this start to mess up or get faulty for people is deciding that I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to tell you about where I grew up when it has nothing to do with what I'm selling. I'm going to tell you about my siblings. It has nothing to do with what I'm selling. I'm going to tell you about my dog and the new trick that he learned that has nothing to do with what I'm selling. And so we give a lot of details that actually we think that it's connecting us with somebody, but it's really pulling us apart from them because they're like, why do I have to listen to this? What does this have to do with it? But when you're doing exactly what you said, which is, let me tell you why I chose to work here. I'm learning about me as a person, but I'm also embedding sales messages about my company. So I'm doing both. It's important to them. It matters to them, but I'm not doing this on, again, something that's important to me that has nothing to do with them and actually could pull it apart. So if I said, I really love, what's my new pastime? My cross stitching. Oh, I'm such a grandma. So I really love my cross stitching. And they're like, oh my God, I hate that. That's like the grossest thing ever. We're like super modern. I've now told them something about me that actually separates us. They don't know me to like me to think that that's quirky or fun or cute or anything. It's separating. So really making sure that we're telling things about us that are important to them in this sales process.
I like that. Yeah, it's interesting because rapport is being on the same page with them, but we could easily get out of rapport by not being relatable. That's great. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to connection is this whole belief system of, should we script something or should we not script something? And I know there's a lot of sales trainers out there that talk about, being completely free and don't script anything and almost kind of go rogue. We of course don't believe that. We believe that 100% you should script it. You should kind of plan out exactly what you're going to say. But the reason I believe scripting actually leads to more connection is because now I don't have to focus on what I'm going to say next. I can focus on connecting with you, which is interesting. So now I can focus on trying to be one with you and really understand what you're trying to do because I already have this script memorized. I already have this framework memorized, which I think that's kind of like a paradox of what people would normally think. They normally think that if I'm going to be scripted, I'm going to be robotic and I'm not going to pay attention. And my whole belief system is the reason why they're not paying attention is because they haven't memorized it enough. They haven't embodied the script enough. But if they can embody it and they can memorize it, then that actually allows them to be free to be able to, again, build that connection that they need.
Well, and it goes back to grounding too. Because if I'm so frantic and I don't trust myself enough that the answer is going to be there when you ask it, that I'm going to know what to say next, I'm going to know what to do next, and I'm frantic about that, I'm not listening to you, which means I'm missing the little breadcrumbs. I'm not really understanding you, which means I'm probably going to give you not the best solution, I'm not going to be able to customize my process because I'm not really present with you. And so it's really important that we are able to, I believe, have that completely memorized. Now, you're not going to say it as if it's memorized because, again, remember, I want it to be custom for them along the way within a framework, within a structure. And so I want to be able to do that. But the only way is through memorizing it. I agree with you. But that's just one of many terrible sales techniques that are given by trainers.
By poser trainers, by posers. Okay.
Well, it's really they're poser salespeople, but they're real trainers. They're being paid real money to give really bad advice.
100%.